Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Andrea Spadafora at Yoga Fora LLC. We are at the CIBC Place building in Brentwood, Missouri. And I'm here to introduce you, again, one of the oldest and senior personal trainers at FlexTime Fitness. And I have a great set of questions for him. Enjoy the interview. All right, buongiorno, good morning.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you again. I have a wide list of questions for you.
Let's get to it.
Let's get right into it. So, first of all, what's your name?
John Dendrinelis.
Mr. John.
My business name is just John D because it's Dendrinelis, and a lot of people can't spell, so I just shortened it to just John D.
With me being Italian, I have no problem spelling the whole thing. Dendrinelis.
I like that.
So, where were you born and raised?
Right here in St. Louis, Missouri, literally 10 minutes from this facility, in a little area called Dogtown, on the edge of Dogtown.
Richmond Heights?
It's on the other side, just on the edge of Richmond Heights. It's not specifically Richmond Heights, but literally 10 minutes from here.
What are your earliest memories of being active or athletic as a kid?
I was always involved in sports, from everything from Corey League baseball to us playing yard pickup ball to something we call fuzzball. As I got older, through high school, basketball became my sport. 100 pounds ago, before I got into all this work, weight training, things like that, I was a basketball player, and I played grade school. That as I got into high school, I played freshman, then I played 3 years of varsity. I was a pretty good ball player. I had the ability for some scholarships until I injured my knee 2 weeks before my senior season started in the fall of 1969, and that ended my basketball career. But at the end of the day, I was always interested in weight training back then. But that many years ago, the only people that really weight trained were football players and bodybuilders and wrestlers. And it was off limits to every other sport because they thought it, quote, made you too muscle bound for your sport.
Right.
And I had my knee operated on. And 2 weeks later, 2 months later, I started weight training. And it affected me very quickly. I was very interested. I wanted to get bigger and stronger. I was referred to a gym called George Turner's Gym, where there were very many athletes competitive with the powerlifters and bodybuilders and all the other athletes. And I walked in there and I said, this is it. This is where I need to be.
Cool.
And
That's how it started. Where did you go to high school?
Southwest High School. It was a public high school in South City, St. Louis, right across from Tower Grove Park. My mother actually graduated from there also in 1945. Since then, it's been 2 or 3 other high schools.
It's such an honor for me to get to know
the old public high league in the day was the athletic league. The athletes that came out in the public high league could have gone and played anywhere. A lot of them did. The unfortunate side of that is when years later they started doing a lot of busing the city kids to the St. Louis County, which had a very big effect, negative effect athletically on the city schools. It gave the kids an opportunity to work in some really nice facilities in the county as far as that's what they had, but really devastating to the city schools at the time.
Now let me ask you, was there a turning point when you realized you wanted to dedicate your life to fitness?
You know, it's funny. I got very competitive with the bodybuilding for about a 10-year period.
Starting at age 18?
It's probably, there, and I got very serious in my 20s, in my early 30s. And like most people who train athletically, it's to, whether you like the sport or not, to be good at the bodybuilding aspect of it. It's really a lifestyle.
Yes.
It's not just the workouts in the gym, but it's the eating side of it. It's dedicated to, especially if you're training for competitions, everything has to be right on for your rest and everything like that. So most guys would try to find jobs that were not hard physically, that allowed them to train. They do bodyguarding, security jobs. You weren't seeing them do a lot of construction type things that allowed them to train the way they wanted to. And as you get older, you wanted to make more money, so you got more serious. I worked in the corporate security side of things for a 7-Up company when we were owned by Philip Morris.
And we were talking about the late 70s or early 80s, whatever.
Yeah, this was like the early 80s, and at the time, I was working for the 7-Up company, and I had also bought the gym from a friend of mine in Maplewood, where we all trained at for a number of years because he was traveling a lot on the building. and I had a staff that ran that. And long story short, I knew I was going to be getting out of both of those at the same time. 7-Up was going to be sold to an investment firm in Texas, and my friend was going to be selling a building and everything. So I was, from having 2 incomes and 2 businesses, I was going to be deciding what I wanted to do. And a friend of mine had moved to California and got very successful in the training business.
Right.
Long story short, he says, "What are you going to do?" He goes, "Nobody in St. Louis is really doing this job." So he says, "You should at least try to pursue this." So I had 500 business cards printed up, and I started hustling and soliciting because I was totally responsible for generating my own salary now. And I started approaching people that I thought could afford my services as a trainer. I approached every general manager of every country club in St. Louis. I would go to every place and put my business cards up. And when we started for the first couple of years, there were just the 3 of us. There was a friend of mine who worked for me part-time when I had my gym in Midland, named Mike Jaws, who was a company called The Fitness Edge. It still has by far the largest training business in St. Louis right now, and another fellow named Coach Hammer. We were it for the first probably 2.5 to 3 years. So somebody needed a trainer, you got probably one of the 3 of us. And it took off very quickly. We were training crazy schedules over 7 days a week. And lucky to do it anyhow. That's how it started.
That's that part. So at that time, what was your favorite bodybuilder you were looking up to?
Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course. Arnold was the man.
Arnold's the man.
He was the man. And a quick side story, when I was with the 7-Up company, Arnold, a girl named Lonnie Anderson, who was an actress on the TV, had done a Diet 7-Up commercial. Arnold had just finished filming for Conan the Barbarian 3 months before that. And they were going to be in St. Louis doing some PR work, so whenever we had people in town, we provided security bodyguarding for them. And my boss said to me, we're going to ask you to spend the day with Arnold when he's here. He's going to do some public relations and on some PR stuff and everything, and then he wants to take a workout when he's done. And he smiled when he said this, you're going to have to spend the day with him. And I said, "Oh, gee, not bad." Long story short, we spent the day together, and my hero of the sport, I got to spend a lot of time with him, talk a lot with him. I've got
to meet his training partner, Franco Columbu, the Sardinian.
He and Frank were exceedingly close. Yes, Arnold, Joe Weider brought him here first before he came here.
Right.
Arnold barely spoke the language when he came here, and when Joe Weider owned the Weider Enterprises, brought him here, and the rest is history. The kind of career he's created, obviously. But I got to spend the day with him.
Cool. So he was kind of your role model at the time.
He was my hero in the sport. Yes.
What kind of jobs did you do before becoming a trainer, if any?
Well, most of them were, for 7 years in high school, my uncle managed the Stroud store here, which is a local store that's been around for a long time. I became assistant manager. It was my first job out of high school. And then I worked a series of little security bodyguarding type things too, to allow me to train where I wanted to. But like anybody else, as I get older, you want to make more money and have better benefits. And I worked corporately. We were owned by Philip Morris, this gigantic company out of, so I worked for them for 7 years. And as I also had my gym there, and that's right before I started my business, because I was literally got out of both of those within the same year. And again, what was I going to do? So now I'm totally responsible for generating my own salary, and that will make you hustle. And I hustled, and we were fortunate that this personal training thing, people said, "What is that?" Took off very quickly. And it was almost initially almost like a status thing. Well, I have my trainer, that. And
now the industry is oversaturated.
It's like a cast of thousands now. There were literally, you got one of the 3 of us for probably the first 2.5 years. And it literally is like a cast of thousands now. Of course it is.
That's right.
But for 3 of us, I mean, we used to kid each other as to how many hours sessions we were putting in. And when you tell people now, you were regularly putting in 55 to 70, 75 sessions a week and working 7 days. They think you're lying.
It's crazy. Well, that's really good to know. I love this workflow and work ethics very much to learn from. So you've been with FlexTime since day one, but even before it was called FlexTime, what do you remember about the first day here at this location?
I was at this location, a friend of mine's company built this building.
Yes.
And it was called Magna Fitness. And Magna, it was a Magna Bank building. This was the headquarters for it was named for a banking company.
Yes.
And my friend was vice president of the company, and his boss never wanted a fitness center in this place. He had to talk him into doing that. He wanted this to be leasable office space. And he talked him into it, and it was the first business in this building.
Yes.
It was called Magna Fitness Center.
Yes.
And this August will be 33 years that in some form that space has been here as a fitness center.
Wow.
Okay? And
That is a very fresh picture.
Yes, that's very, yes. This is when the building was brand new. They've always done a great job, wherever the ownership has been, and have done a great job of maintaining this building. They really have done a fantastic job, whoever the owners have been.
Big shout out to Rod,
Exactly.
property manager.
But Magna was never supposed to be a fitness center. Initially, the initial investor in the facility, there was a person who designed a piece of fitness equipment that they were going to try to take. It was to revolutionize. There was supposed to be a showroom, the equipment there to have different NFL trainers come in, collegiate trainers, to see how this piece of equipment worked on there. And they were going to take it and purchase it around. So it was never supposed to be a working gym initially. And like any other investors, he says, we've got this space, even though they're coming and looking here, we're paying rent on, let's sell some memberships.
Yeah.
And it's a whole story from there. It would take me too long to tell you now, but it was never supposed to be a working gym initially.
Tell me what's kept you loyal to this particular gym or this location and now FlexTime all these years?
Well, initially, the first 5.5 years I started my business, I was using 7 different clubs, and the other half of my business was done in home, which all trainers still have the ability to put equipment in people's houses.
Yes.
The level of how I was running around, I still don't know how I did that. I mean, it's one thing if you park yourself in one location and your clients come to see you, but they're training somebody and then you're leaving and driving to West County and you have to get back, and the stress of going to different, I was literally using 7 different gyms. You have to be on time. What's the weather like? What's the traffic like? How long is it? It raises your stress level amazingly. So when they opened this facility here, I told them initially, there was always been very few facilities for independent trainers who own business to train their clients.
Yes.
All the big facilities want you to work in-house for them. And I told them initially, I said, if you put out there that the independent trainers are going to be invited here to train clients, you're going to be inundated because of the location. Literally off the highway, 2 minutes from downtown Clayton here. And it was. For a small facility, we had very high volume trainers that used, we didn't know how that was going to work because we thought we needed a 20, 30,000 square foot place. It worked because all the trainers were cognizant of how to get around each other.
Can you name some big names of clients that worked out here?
It's some of them prefer not to have their names used.
Okay.
I learned that very quickly. I've been blessed to train some very high profile people. And when I started my business and doing some public relations, I had somebody to work for me who wanted to use their names. Some are don't want their names out there whatsoever, very shy, both corporate, entertainment, and I ran into it where one of them wanted to take a film crew to their home. He goes, I don't want my name in your top 10 list of people, so I learned that very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't throw names out there like that. Some are very funny about that.
So how has the gym changed and what has stayed the same?
What changed, the third owner trained here, Mike Fisher trained here. He was a football player, John Burroughs, from high school. And he decided to buy the facility. Mike, when he bought it, took additional space that's not here, it's now back to the original spot. He bought it, he expanded it, he completely renovated it, put all the equipment in, and expanded the size of it by a whole nother room. So at one point, for the number of years that Mike had it, was expanded. And now, since Deb took over, there's another business application that's brought it. The gym is the original size that it was initially, always initially, okay? Each owner just put new equipment in her. Mike expanded it. Debbie, when she took it over, completely changed it from the technology aspect of it. She spent a huge amount of money on technology. But each owner has done a good job to completely renovate it and spend a lot of money doing various things to it. To keep it updated this way over this many years is impressive. It's not always that way in the gym business.
Let me ask you, when you were super busy, 50, 70 clients per week, how did you pace your energy across multiple clients and workouts in a single day? You had to work out for yourself, right?
Well,
plus you were married.
This is the thing. When you tell people this, I keep my calendars. I worked 360 days the first year. I worked 361 days the second year. I was booking 8 to 10 appointments on Sundays.
Wow.
And that's why I was so competitive too. So I come at 4 o'clock in the morning, get my workout in. Then you want to eat your 5 or 6 meals a day. So you eat your igloo cooler with your chicken breast and potatoes. So it's great to be busy and making a lot of money, but if you can't do what you want to do, you're going to be very angry at that. So how and when do I get my workouts in? Not missing my meals. And now you get home at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Now you have to wind down from that day for a bit to get up at 4 o'clock the next morning again. I look back at it now and I don't know how I did it. I did that schedule for 25 of probably the 30 some odd years I've been around it so far.
So at that time you had your
and blessed
flow.
to do it.
You were living in your flow. You were doing things out of a routine, great habit.
The only thing I told my wife when I met my wife, I said, I have to give you one day. So I took Sundays off. I have to give you one day.
Right.
And the only thing I told people about this business, it's great to make good money, but I told her that every 3 or 4 months, I have to have 4 days off to get out of here.
Yeah,
I mean, you can love what you do, you can be making all the money in the world, but if you feel like you're having it shoved down your throat, you can start really disliking it.
Yes.
And you have to get away from it once in a while. And I think it's a mistake. I know people, I had a workhorse attitude. I still know guys who have the workhorse. They never take a day off. You've got to get away from it once in a while. You just do.
Of course. There's something called burnout syndrome, right?
Yes, you can. Yes.
So, are there any specific training methods or philosophy that you stick by no matter what?
You know, when you say that, there's dozens of different certifications now you can get for this business. What people don't like to hear, some of them profess that you train people a certain way, what they believe in. And this is an old-fashioned thing to say. This is my 38th year of my business. Been around the business since the fall of 1969.
Wow.
I was very competitive. And I think a lot of it is having done it to know what works and doesn't work. I always tell people you could talk to 10 different trainers and 10 different philosophies on training and eating and things like that. And you find a style that works for you. And so that's really kind of a loaded question. It's just, when you tell people, it's having done it. You know, and
I have a question that goes a little bit more at the roots. So you mentioned you were very competitive, right? So what and who instilled in you or baked in you the competitiveness?
Well, I've always been a competitor. I've never been a casual athlete.
Right.
Even at 100 pounds when I played basketball, it's like I didn't like just playing the games. I liked the stuff that went along with it. I liked running 5 miles for conditioning. I was a short forward. I was 6'1" in public high league that we competed in. It was very competitive. I was told I had to learn to jump higher. I jumped rope with ankle weights for 2 years straight, and I could jump very, very well. I liked the training that went along with it. But it's a team sport. When it comes to the bodybuilding, I always tell people, whether you like that look or not, what goes into preparation, there's a lot of people like to attain a certain condition or look. And back then, you really stood out if you're bodybuilding. Now there's many more people who train on a year-round basis. But to be good at it, your rest had to be right on, your training had to be right on, your eating had to be right on.
Yes.
You would make or break yourself.
Right.
When a football player's done with practice, if they want to go ahead and have beer and pizza, they can go ahead and do that.
Right.
When you're training for a competition, everything has got to be right on. And I always like the strictness. And it's not getting on stage and the posing, though. I like the stuff that went on to being good at that, because there's a lot of people who will like to attain certain things, but not really put the time and effort into doing it.
Of course. Knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. So it's
Correct.
about applying what we learn rather than just being entertained by what we learn. Of course. So it's about taking action. This is what most motivational speakers talk about every single day on the podcasts on YouTube. So, what's the most moving transformation you've ever witnessed in a client?
It's a friend of mine's sister. She was 25 years old. Lost both parents within 6 months. One for they're all large people, but she peaked out at 540 pounds. And I watched her over a 19-month period. She was as unathletic a person as you could imagine. She could barely walk outside, much less walk on a treadmill. And I watched her over a 19-month period not do anything surgically, not do any Ozempic. There weren't any of these drugs back then. She just got focused. She wanted to have a boyfriend. Long story short, I watched her over 19 months lose 361 pounds.
361.
She was tall for her. She was almost 6'1", so she was tall for a girl.
Yeah.
And I watched her lose this weight. And because she was so large for a long time, the only thing she did is because she had a lot of loose skin, you know, because she was so large.
Stretch marks and
we set her up, we found the right plastic surgeon. She had the resources to trim, tuck. She got down from 540 to 161. And when people tell me I just can't lose weight or all these programs, I've watched it, I've seen it. People are always looking for the quickest way out now. If you decide, that's where I became, if you decide to put your mind to anything, and it's important to you, I think you could be successful at it. I watched this girl over a 19-month period. I've seen it. And I've also seen the other side of that, and no names to be had. I watched a person that I knew, that I trained, that talked the doctors into, maybe needed was 50 or 60 pounds, doing this gastric bypass thing and all this kind of wonderful guy. Involved in more big things in this town, long story short, talked him into doing the surgery on him. And he died 4 days later from complications from that happened. So my long story short is to try and do something natural instead of jumping right to something like that. And by the way, you sign off on a lot of documentation that says you could have something negative that will happen during the surgery, and it did, and he died. And they tried to sue the hospital group and stuff like that, and they lost because they showed all these things you signed off on. Instead of trying to put the effort into doing it themselves, trying to do it either the quickest way or this way. And now there's, with all of these drugs that are on market, it's instead of making the honest effort themselves to see what they're capable of doing first before what's the next drug they could stick in their mouth or the fastest way they could do something.
I have the same exact approach in my massage therapy practice. I always recommend the clients to be, or the patients to be, actively involved into their own healing rather than seeking for the pills or surgery. Yes.
I totally agree with you.
So, what's your secret for getting clients to stay committed long term?
You know, that's the psychology for 30 years I've been trying to figure out. And from this side of it, when you come from, especially initially when I started my business, coming from a very competitive background, that somebody will hire you and pay you well and not do all of what you've asked them to do. You know when they're working with you, they're getting a good workout, or they better be getting a good workout, or something's wrong. I've always said any trainer is only successful if the client does away from the trainer. If I've asked you to do some things on the off days, maybe some cardio work, or you know, most people when they want to make changes in their body, there's a huge attention to detail to what you eat.
Yes.
That's where people will fall down 99.9% of the time. So you try to get into psychology that makes people work, and the thing would drive me crazy. I've been blessed in my career to train some very successful people, captains of industry, all the money in the world, this, that, and everything else. In order to attain that level of success, there had to be a lot of drive and determination and willpower. These are very smart people.
Yeah.
But sometimes when it comes to their personal selves, they would just fall down in a way that was very confusing to me.
Right.
And I to this day, like I said, I've tried the easy approach, the hard approach. We're going to calculate, we're going to weigh, we're going to measure, test your body fat. I've sent them to fancy spas. We've had their kitchens redone so we can hire a chef. It's really confusing to me. And I get sarcastic when I say this, and it's not a nice thing to say. And I've told you this, we unless there's a genetic component, then it's the laundry list of things like it's smoking and drinking and bad eating. We have too much information for people to be goofing up too badly. And this one particular person, like I said, and unfortunately, he in his early 80s, and most everything that is going on with him right now is self-induced. And I tell people, this is the one thing that levels the playing field. I don't care if you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, or I don't care how much money you have. I can get you the best doctors in this hospital. It's the one thing that levels the playing field. You have to pay attention.
Yes.
There has to be someone to. I don't care what you surround yourself with. Some of it has to come from you.
Of course.
You know, always. And that's for 38 years. I still try to figure out what makes people tick like this or not tick. It's still confusing to me.
So when people are slipping, their good habits, good routines, like eating habits, everything starts with food, right? Seems like that comfort food is one way to fill the gap.
Sure.
The little hole that's still.
Correct.
So, really, all the coaches out there, the life coaches, the personal trainers are trying to keep their clients with realistic expectations and to keep staying motivated in their routines, right? You mentioned 6 meals a day. That means that you have to do your meal prep.
Not for everybody. It's very competitive in doing that.
Yes.
When you say something like, first of all, I never use the word diet.
Right.
I think diet's got a bad connotation to it. People make it seem like they're torturous. I call it eating adjustment.
Eating adjustment. Okay.
And I also firmly believe no matter what you're trying to accomplish, having come from a very competitive background, trying to get muscular and cut, in my opinion, you have to give someone a weekly out for that one meal.
Right.
Something to look forward to, and I don't care what it is that you eat for that meal. I didn't say all day long, I don't care if it's pizza, ice cream, or Burger King. For that one meal, do it and enjoy it. Get right back on the horse again.
Is that called a cheat meal?
Yes, you can call it whatever you want like that, but you have to give somebody, you have to dangle that carrot out there for them to have that one they can look forward to. I said that one meal. I didn't say do it all day long. It's that one meal. Enjoy all of it.
Right.
Don't eat just a piece of. Eat 2 of them if that's what you want. But you get right back on the program again.
Gotcha. Do any clients stand out who completely surprised you with their strength or discipline? Or you kind of already told me the story.
Oh, sure. You're always going to have certain people that will surprise you with their discipline. Visually, you never, just because a person's a big person, I've seen some of my strongest people are lean and wiry. So that's a misnomer because a person's a larger person automatically very, very strong, and that's really just a visual thing. That's just really kind of the big misnomer when it comes to something like that.
Now, this is an important section of our interview, and that is the dark side of the industry. So what's something about the fitness industry most people don't see or understand? So, and moving to the next question, just to kind of put them together, what have you witnessed regarding steroid use or performance-enhancing drugs in the gyms?
Instead of trying to see what you're actually capable of doing yourself over a period of time, some people want to get there the quickest way that they can.
Right.
And unfortunately now things are very easy to get a hold of. And people do a lot of reading, and it's very easy to pick up some bad habits.
Yes.
Okay. And I dissuade people from that. Even coming from a competitive background, I have done some of those things to compete before under a doctor's supervision. And the problem is you're getting people, some of the people want to do things, get it, and they don't want to do any doctor's supervision. And they hear what people do, and there's a lot of people who are not straightforward with what they're doing or not doing. They even have websites on here. Are you natty? Not natty. Somebody walk around the gym talking to men and women. Natty means are you on something or not something. There are actually TikToks on there where they go around. Yeah. So it's very prevalent, very easy to do, and a lot of people, when they say they're not doing something, probably lying.
Right.
And
TRT or testosterone.
Sure. Yeah. There's many different things that go on there in that business, both for men and women, and in many sports, not just the usual sports that you would think of, maybe like football or wrestling. There's a lot more that goes on in some of the sports because the monetary compensation at high levels now is huge. People are willing to do things to attain whatever it takes to attain to do that. Now that's from a competitive level, but I know many people who just train regularly that still want to attain a certain look, that have no problem doing whatever they're going to do. Some of the supplementation that's out there has made it easier to attain that too. You have things like creatine out there, they have testosterone precursors. So they're getting closer to making it easier, non-pharmaceutical. But pharmaceuticals work completely different than a supplement. They just do. They supplement manufacturers. Creatine is something great, but some of them are getting much, much closer to saying that they're getting something that's pharmaceutical. But there's nothing like a pharmaceutical drug from that level of it.
Yep, absolutely. So I remember that Arnold himself admitted steroid use, and so all the other,
Sure.
prominent figures.
The problem is, in Arnold's day, the level of what they were doing is not near what some of the top pros and some of the things that they're doing to attain that.
Yeah.
It's like a chemistry class. And if you're not doing some of the things you're doing under supervision,
Right.
there's been a lot of deaths in the sport too, from like on
In
guys
fact, that's
also.
my next question.
Yes.
Have you ever lost clients because of they chose shortcuts or
No.
trends over hard?
Personally, no.
Okay.
But I'm aware of some on the professional level that at a younger age, yes. And like I said, some of the pharmaceuticals that are being used at that level are almost shocking, but to attain that certain look, they had better be doing something under doctor's supervision.
Yeah, totally.
They had better be doing it under a doctor's supervision.
Right. Now, in the 90s, they introduced the growth hormone, for example, on top of the steroids, on top of the testosterone, different kinds of testosterone, which, created a brand new level in the bodybuilding industry. You see the bubble guts and the pregnant
Well, the
bellies
thing has changed there. Growth hormone's still a big deal. Insulin has become a big deal, where you're getting people who are very muscular and large and that muscular. And again, if you're messing around with insulin and not supervised, you will kill yourself.
Right.
That's a just massive mistake to even think of something like that. But again, the monetary prizes at a top level are such that people are willing to do some stuff. You understand how many different sports. When you talk about athletes, I always tell people, how many athletes do you know? They're going to put the time and effort and train that hard and die and all this stuff to try their hardest to take second place.
Yep.
I don't know any athletes wired like that, to do all that, to see their hardest to try and take second place, okay? So sometimes people are willing to do some things and push that envelope. That's a little scary sometimes.
Yeah, but I know. Let's see. Have you encountered toxic masculinity or unhealthy competition in fitness culture?
Well, sure. There's, bodybuilding can be a bit narcissistic from the side of you have to look at yourself and be critical of yourself.
Yes.
And judge how you look.
Yes.
And if you're going to be competitive, you have to be able to pick apart what looks better. So there's a bit of narcissism. Because some people can carry that way over the top. I call it quiet confidence. It's a good thing to know that you look pretty good, I'm doing this, and some people wear it on their sleeve and they're just very arrogant about it. I would wish they would just leave the sport, because I like the sport enough to know what goes into it for people to come out and act that way. I don't like that. I've never liked that when they walk around a certain way or look a certain way. If you're in good shape, look at you carry that around with you. People can tell what you do.
Right.
You don't have to over exaggerate things or act in a way like some jerk. You can still be. I just like to use the term quiet confidence. I don't like people who act out or act that way at all. I don't like that.
Let me ask you a more technical question. You in bodybuilding, obviously, you have to practice posing, right?
Sure.
It's part of the routine.
Very important. Very important. You can have a great physique, but if you don't know how to show it properly, I've seen it detract from people's physiques.
So this is more of a technical question.
Sure.
Most poses you can see yourself in the mirror from the front, right? From double biceps, abdominals, but not everybody can see themselves from the back, right? And in the industry, people know that shows are won from the back, right?
Not always. That's not always. That's not true.
But you need to really have a good orchestration between the brain and the body to perform what's going on, to distinguish between all different muscle groups in the back.
It's also a feel. How you feel when you lock into different poses also. There's no question about that.
Like you want to emphasize, for example, the rear deltoid or the rhomboids or the rotator cuff muscles or the back.
Sure. Well, in bodybuilding, look, you will see people with glaringly good body parts, big arms, big chest, big back. It's really about how does the whole package go together. A balance. I've seen people, I've seen people with much better balance beat people just because, look how big his arms are, big. How does the whole package go together? That's why you train for balance. Okay, people always have their favorite body parts they like training, but in a bodybuilding show, they will pick that apart. And from what you were talking about before, from the steroidal thing, these guys are getting even though their abdominals are muscular, they're almost as far as the chest. And Arnold still runs what's called the Arnold Classic. 3 years ago, Arnold said this. This is Mr. Farmer's. So you guys have to start toning these bellies and midsections back down again, or we're going to start judging against that. Knock that stuff off. Your belly's not supposed to be out as far as your chest. It's supposed to be symmetrical.
So back in the days when there was no phones or smartphone or internet, you had to look at yourself from the back. You have to have somebody else taking pictures of you.
Correct.
Or you get some feedback.
There were ways of setting up posing lights and mirrors where you could see from the back also, but you usually had a training partner. You have to, if you're competing, you have to have a very critical eye of yourself. You can't say, everything looks perfect.
Yes.
Because you have to know maybe to change how you train some of your body parts, which body parts are lagging a little bit behind. Mm-hmm. And you have to have a partner who's just not going to BS you, be very critical, because you look perfect. No, that's not true. So you have to have big enough ego to be able to take criticism too, to what you need to work on.
So did you have a team or group of friends that you guys?
I had a training partner for 20 years we were very frank with each other and stuff. And
are you still friends with him?
I'm still friends, yes. I haven't seen him for a while, but we were partners for 20 years, yes.
Oh, that's
Training partners
nice.
for 20 years.
What's his name?
Robert Naki.
All right, big shout out to Mr. Robert Naki.
Quite a character. Quite a character.
So let's talk about the business of fitness in the U.S. How has the economics of being a personal trainer changed since the 80s?
Well, first of all, if you had told me, my father was a Pepsi route runner for all his life,
yes.
And he knew I competed, and he was a teamster. He was always one of these things. Well, how are you going to make money from this? Right. You need a full-time job with good benefits, retirement, things like that. And I was blessed where this worked very, very well, and built a very, very good business. It's like with anything; it's much more competitive now. Right. If you're just getting into this business now, I think
with your job, can I interrupt you? So with your job as a trainer, so you said you don't have a fixed or a steady certain salary or paycheck every 2 weeks.
You don't.
So could you at the time go to a bank and ask for a mortgage just based
on
your?
They would typically back then want to look at your accounts and see how much money you're running through your accounts. That's typical because you don't work for a company. We have a regular paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. You're self-employed.
Exactly.
And sometimes it would make it more difficult to get loans, but still, a lot of them would go through they see how much money's coming through your account and what you can afford to do this, but it's not a regular paycheck. Out of a fear factor, always tried to overbook myself in hours, okay? Because in our business, you always have people who travel. They travel for both business and pleasure, and more pleasure as they get older for long periods of time.
Yes.
So just because if you say people charge a good amount per session, trainers charge a good amount of money, somebody's living on their own. I'm comfortable working 25 appointments. I can make good money. I can afford my car, things like that too. Well, what if half of those are traveling for 2 or 3 weeks? Does your mortgage stop? Does your car payment stop?
No, everything is going.
Or then also now you're married and you have a child, okay? And everybody's work ethic is different, how many hours they like to put in, okay?
Right.
So it's one thing if you're consistently working 30 or 40 hours and you're charging anywhere for a good rate per session for your training. But what the people will always, through your whole career, will travel a long time. And out of a fear factor, it wasn't so much a fear factor because the first number of years you just got the three of us. I always like keeping a very busy schedule.
How much did you charge back when you first started?
We started. I think it was 45 a session when I first started. That many 38 years ago, I think we were at 45 a session.
Oh, good. Yeah. All right.
Which was still good for the day. It was still a really good amount of money. That was 38 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you said, did you buy your first house with the money coming from personal training?
As a matter of fact, that's a great story because one of my longtime first clients, was bank president. Wow. And I trained him and his family. And
it's a great friend to have.
It's a great friend to have. And we bought our first house. I didn't realize we were buying a house. My daughter was a year old, and my wife was at our doctor's appointment in West County. And she had some time, was driving through a neighborhood and saw a for sale sign. And by the time she got home, it was a Thursday night, she says, I found our house. I had a condominium in Brentwood here. I didn't even realize we were even buying a house. So my friend who was a bank president, I called him up, and there's only, my wife likes to get things done very quickly. This was Thursday. And I said, she found it. He knows my wife very well. She's a big event planner, meeting planner, getting big meetings and stuff done. I said, I need to get this bank loan done, John. That's a great story he says, I'll see you in the gym on Saturday. He's riding a stationary bike at Magna Fitness, and he sat there and he says, "What do you like about the house? What do you like about the neighborhood?" I told him, "I got to get this done." So as he was, and I still keep the paperwork, as he was riding the bike, he said, my wife, he says, "Go get me a piece of paper and a pen." And I got him a post, he got me posted, and he said, wrote a note to my wife, "Don't worry, Susan, you got the loan, love, John," as he was riding the stationary bike at Magna.
Wow.
And he says, I still had to fill out all the regular paperwork and stuff. And the people we were buying the house from was also a banker. He was transferred to Arizona. He wanted to see the legal paperwork that says I've been approved for this. So he says, "I'll have my secretary type you up a letter, give it to him. It won't be the usual document yet." And he says, "If he has a problem, have him call my office." He says, "I'm going to be out of town for the weekend on business." And the whole thing was done by Tuesday. And because he was a friend of mine, he, as a present to us, he gave us a loan at a point better than the interest rates were at the time, which was huge. Didn't have to do that.
Cool.
And it was probably more house than we would have qualified for at the time. And he left.
Chesterfield?
It was in Chesterfield, and he made it happen. The only thing he said to me, he left, he goes, "I don't want to own this house." And it was a wonderful place. We did everything in the world for it, but but the great part of this story is my father, who didn't know how we were gonna. It was a spectacular home, and we did a lot to it. And you got to understand, my dad never graduated high school and drove a Pepsi truck for almost 50 years of his life. It was a hard physical job.
I know.
And we bought the house. I remember walking up the sidewalk and crying on something I did for my efforts. Couldn't believe it. So, it was good. It was good. It was.
John, emotional, getting
So,
emotional.
Yeah.
I know. But
He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it on something. How you gonna make money at this business?
Well, that house became the stage for your family.
It was, yeah. It was.
You were raising your daughter.
Yes, yeah.
And
Then
now
he-
you are,
sorry,
now
it
you
was,
are, now you are a grandfather, right?
But a grandfather with a 10-month-old grandbaby, and
Which is your
it's
pride.
spectacular.
Enjoy.
And
She
my
proud
daughter,
of
when
it?
we first moved in, it was a year old, and she's just finishing up a third-year residency. She's a full-fledged doc, and as time goes by now, and
Good. What's your daughter's name?
my daughter's name is Lauren Nicole. And
Laura Nicole. Big
my,
shout
my
out.
granddaughter's name is Tia.
Okay, Tia. Ciao, Tia.
Anyhow,
Can't wait to meet you someday.
So anyhow.
Let's talk about life outside of the gym. What are your passions outside of fitness?
well, it's still my passion. I still enjoy it. I'm one of the old guys. I'm 74 years old right now. Okay.
God bless you.
I still love training very hard. I've got a little competitive thing with some buddies of mine used to compete. So my daughter, who missed the competitive part of that, she knows I still work out hard. I love working out hard. She said, "Wouldn't it be, even at your age, with your knowledge you have now, because some things have changed. We know so much more about nutrition and how to stimulate muscle and all these kind of things, to see if you can push yourself, even at your age, just to see for yourself what kind of condition you can get yourself in. It would be fun." And so she bugged me, and I'm in the midst of that with about 6 other guys who used to compete. And we're going to take a 6-month period, and it really boils down to your eating changes completely. We all train hard. We all have a few injuries we've been dealing with and try to get around.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to ask you, what do you do now to take care of your body now, especially since
Well, still like what I still train very hard, but like I said, it's I like pushing myself. I still like being around the business. I love to travel. I like that. I like that sort of thing too. But really, I like being around the sport. I've made wonderful friends in the sport. I've been around really great people. I've got buddies of mine I've grown up with. We still kind of hang out together and things like that. And I like spending more time with my family. Now, my family is mostly out of town right now because they're in Mississippi finishing up school and all that kind of stuff too.
In fact, I was going to ask you, have your kids or family followed you into the fitness world, or they have taken different paths?
Well, my only daughter is in medicine now. She's finished. She's a third-year resident in medicine, and she'll be finishing up a year from now. Her husband.
But prior to that, have you ever trained your daughter, or have you ever?
Yeah, she's always been curious. She was a very good athlete herself. She was a very good swimmer and volleyball player. She's a very, very good athlete, and she loves strength training. My son-in-law is a competitive bodybuilder. He's just starting his practice. As a matter of fact, in a week, he won a competition last year down there. He's training for another one in November now. So. He's very competitive with the sport. They both train very hard. My daughter is very, very strong in the gym. She's very strong. But yeah, they enjoy it quite a bit.
How has being a trainer shaped the way you've raised your children or lived your personal life?
I've always loved the fitness industry. It's amazing how it has exploded right now. There's so many more people that work out on a regular basis now. The first 10 years I worked out in a gym was strictly men there. Women weren't even allowed in clubs. And it's good to see that more and more people working out on a regular basis. The problem I have, a big problem I have, and I noticed this when my daughter was in middle school, and I would talk to some of the gym classes and things. And some of these kids barely make them put on tennis shoes to do a fitness class and take gym anymore.
Wow.
And that's sad to see. And they have all the great facilities in the world, but these kids live on these computers, on these phones. The technology is amazing, both good and bad.
Yes.
And it's pathetic to see some of the habits, the conditions in these kids are at a young age, developing these bad habits like that. And that's the problem, real problem I really have. They have access to all the knowledge in the world, best facilities in the world, best equipped facilities in the world, and the slip-ups that I see people make are horrific. And most of the research I see is on as we age, as we get older. And it's literally the old use it or lose it theory. We've got too much information, as I've told you before, for people to be making major goof-ups here. But there has to be some want to from yourself. We can surround you with everything. But if you don't want it, and that's the hardest part of what I do.
Now, speaking about the why we do things, why we do work out, and why we want to train and become a better version of ourselves, but so you see bodybuilding and again cultivating the beauty of the body itself as a way to give back to the gift of life itself, or it's just for the gratification of seeing yourself naked in front of the gym, in front of the mirror and just showing off muscles, symmetry, package, six-pack. What is the underlying motivation of somebody?
I've been around this a long time.
Yeah.
And my long Greek answer is I've trained professional athletes, older, younger kids, sport specific, flexibility, balance, everything you could possibly think of. And I'm at a stage in my career right now that both men and women, for the efforts that they put into their workouts, would like some visual changes. We used to always get this. I'm going to make New Year's resolutions. We're going to go on spring break, some beach-related thing. The pools open up at the end of May. Most people, for their efforts will like some visual changes in their body. A flatter this, a smaller that, a bigger this. In order to attain that, there is it's not just the workouts, it's a huge attention to detail to what you stick in your mouth to attain that look, okay? And hopefully developing a healthy lifestyle, not just the look.
Do you think they do it for internal validation or external validation?
Yes.
You want to be told, oh, you look great, you look
Both.
fantastic.
Yes.
Both, okay.
Yes, no question.
All right.
I believe that. People, for their efforts that they put in, would like some visual changes. They do. What motivates them? I mean, it's just, yes, I think there's a lot of that.
And you're 74, you said, right?
Yes.
So your priority right now is to maintain functionality, to be able to be
sure,
independent.
Yeah, of course.
To be able to put on your shoes and socks on
of
your
course.
own,
Sure.
and rely on yourself, right? So
all of that. Yeah, I mean, as people get older, one thing that I've noticed, and people get this somewhat frail look about them, and you have to pay attention. I mean, you lose strength as you get older. You have to work at some strength training.
Yep.
A lot of people live by themselves nutritionally. You look at some people, they get this kind of frail. Like sometimes they live by themselves. They forget to eat. They don't want to eat. They don't take enough protein in to maintain lean muscle mass or doing any strength training to do that. You have to. We've got too much knowledge for that to happen to not put that into practice.
Right. Tell me more specifically in your experience. I heard that once you pass the 50-year-old mark, and even sometimes before that, you experience what they call sarcopenia.
Sure.
So it's essentially the weakening or the loss of muscle or tissue.
They come up with these numbers where you lose a certain amount every year.
Yes.
One of my goals, we're trying to do with some of the guys I compete with. We're trying to show that you can maintain good muscle and get highly conditioned. The thing is, you're not supposed to be able to carry as much muscle size or high conditioning where you get more muscular and cut up. And we're going to try to disprove that over the next number of months. Now, we all look different. Everybody, your genetics are different. Everybody has different things going on. But we've got enough knowledge now. The big thing that has changed from the old school way of training is probably a lot of us way overtrained. The workouts are more intense and succinct. I always tell people, two things I would take out of gyms are scales and clocks. People get too hung up into how long they were there as opposed to what they did while they're there.
Right.
Okay? Now, unless you're sports specific and you're power training where you need more recuperative time between sets, that's different. Depends on what your goal is. But too many people get hung up onto that as to how long they're there. And as to what, and the other one that's the biggest number is, it's true, is how you recover from workout to workout is as important as your training.
But more specifically, in your experience, did you notice practical differences between when you were 50, 55, 60, 65, and then 70? Like after 5 years, just to give you an example, how did you feel different? How did your body felt a little different? Do you feel more depleted, more or less motivated?
Well, I've learned a lot more nutritionally. It's much easier to get protein sources, to get regular protein. They mix much better. The kinds of protein you get are much easier to get on a consistent basis. We used to carry daily coolers full around of chicken breast and things we made. So getting your nutrition, getting the amount of your nutrition, getting a gram per pound of body weight is much easier to. There's no that shaker bottles. You used to have a blender that makes this stuff up. There's never any reason for you to say I can't get the amount of nutrition, amount of protein, whatever it is that you need. Okay.
Right.
And there's all these different programs that people want to try that want to work for them. There's ketogenic eating. There's intermittent fasting. There's all that. You experiment, you find out what works for yourself. Okay. That's an experimentation as to what works out for you.
Okay, so let's move toward the next set of questions. That is about your Greek heritage and culture. Can you tell us about your Greek background? Where is your family originally from?
My relatives are both from Corinth and Athens.
Cool.
And my grandfather.
Provincio e Atene.
Right, and my grandparents came over here. I'm third generation. Like I said, my parents, my mom and dad were. Greek was their first language, and they were like a lot of the immigrants who came over here. They came over here with wanted an opportunity to build a business and work hard. My grandfather, her dad was, he and his brother were in the restaurant business, worked a lot of hours. My grandfather, my dad's dad, started a soda delivery business, and they worked very, very hard. You know, my dad moved into his dad's business when he was 15 years old to help him out, and took over his business for 10 years. Before he sold it to PepsiCo, the big company, which was much better for his benefits and retirement, things like that.
Okay. What values from Greek cultures have influenced your work ethic or approach to life?
Say it again?
What values from Greek culture have influenced your work ethic?
I don't get so much Greek culture. I come from a family with a great work ethic.
Okay.
And we always took a lot of pride at any job I ever had. We couldn't. It's like, how much overtime do we work? We just want to work. My business, so if you told somebody, I took pride in getting up and running, working 55 to 70 appointments a week, and doing all that kind of stuff. I come from a family background that has always, from both my mother and my father, my father worked exceedingly hard on that truck. My mom did all of the things around the house because from painting to cleaning the gutters out of the roof to cutting the grass to sewing to
amazing.
Yeah, we blessed and proud to say I come from a family that has a really great work ethic.
Good.
And so we took a lot of pride in that.
I bet. Do you speak Greek or maintain any traditions from your heritage?
Well, that's the shame of it. I'm the oldest of three, and I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. So I would go to, quote, regular school, and then I would go to Greek school twice a week because they wouldn't speak English to me. And I was pretty fluent with it, know how to read it, write it, and it's like anything else, I've gotten away from it for years. I can get the gist of a conversation. It's a shame of what I've forgotten. My brother and sister never had to do that.
Have you been to Greece?
I have not. Shameful. My mother and sister have been a couple of times.
On your bucket list?
It's certainly on my bucket list, yes. And God willing, hopefully I will get there because, they both been there a couple of times. And I still have some relatives there.
Right.
I still have some relatives.
Now, speaking of Greek, we all know that Greek food is also very, very famous and very, very appreciated, just like Italian food, right?
Sure.
So what role has food played in your life, especially with your cultural roots and fitness career?
Well, I mean, between my mother and my grandmother, there are always Greek dishes being made throughout the entire year, not just for certain holidays and stuff. And we've always enjoyed, and some of it's very labor intensive to make, but we all year long have had various Greek dishes between my grandmother and my grandparents.
Is there a day in the year that you celebrate Greek culture or Greek heritage?
Well, you always had the Greek Easter, you had the Christmas holidays. I mean, yeah, there were specific holidays, but then there's other days throughout the year. But we didn't have to have special days to celebrate. We always had those. There's always those types of things around all the time.
Right. So olives and feta cheese.
We always had a block of feta cheese in the fridge all the time. That was just to be year round. And by the way, some of the best feta cheese we got was from the Hill.
Oh, wow.
My father would go to the Hill, and they had some of the best feta cheese that
Where would they shop?
I'm trying to think of where he
Is that Viviano's or Di Gregorio's or
might have been Di Gregorio's, okay. But there was always not small, but we had a block of this in the refrigerator, so there was always feta cheese around.
Yum.
Yes.
So, has your heritage helped you connect with clients or members of the St. Louis community?
I shouldn't say so much my heritage because a lot of people at first think I'm either Italian or Jewish or before I'm even Greek. So I pass for a lot of things, It's just so I shouldn't say so much my heritage.
Okay. Well, so because I am biased, I'm from Southern Italia, and I immediately gravitated around the Hill neighborhood. So do you have any ties to the Hill neighborhood, or have you trained or known clients from the Hill?
Oh, I went to high school with all kinds of guys from that. Where I went to high school was literally 5 minutes from the Hill.
Okay.
So I had all kinds of guys in my class from the Hill.
That's cool.
No question. And I still go up there frequently. I still have good restaurants.
Do you have any memorable stories, connections, friendships in that neighborhood?
Well, there's I'll give them a plug here. There's a great restaurant called Lorenzo's on the Hill.
Lorenzo's.
Does a wonderful job. Lorenzo's mother and I went to high school together and grade school together. Her last name was Verwest at the time, okay? And Lorenzo's daddy, Larry, owned the building that Lorenzo's is in and had built the space out that you see Lorenzo's as a restaurant.
Right.
Lorenzo's grandfather was my dad's best friend. He was a Pepsi Cola driver also. He died unfortunately very young at 45. So the whole history of it. His grandfather was my dad's best friend, Rich Verwest. His mom, Sandy, and I went to grade school together. And Lorenzo, who you see looks a lot like his mother, has done fabulously well with that restaurant. That's our biggest site.
So cool. Seems like St. Louis is a big town with a small town vibe.
No question. No question.
All right, so let's talk about, I have a few more questions for you.
Sure.
Spirituality and religion. Has religion or spirituality played a role in your life or your work?
Big time.
Tell me a little bit
I'm
about
Greek Orthodox. My grandfather and four other men were the founders of the St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church over on Forest Park Avenue. That everybody goes to their big event every year for their fundraiser and stuff. They were the founders of the church. So we were very involved there. My father was the oldest child, and with a lot of the old timers, everything was for the church. And my dad has four other brothers, and they were all involved on the board in various ways. I was an altar boy there for years. In my younger years, for about 2 or 3 years, I actually thought about becoming a Greek priest at one time.
Wow.
And I didn't follow through with that. That wasn't going to be for me, but we were very involved in the church, and we were all married there, buried from there, baptized there. The Greek community is a pretty large Greek community in St. Louis. And
tell me if you had any moments in your life or career that you would describe as either spiritual or religious turning points. Any things that, kind of brought you to the realization that there's a higher power that loves us?
Well, I think there's a pretty generalized statement. I think you can look at your life and take some of the more difficult times that you've gone through. Or you can look around you. I don't think all of this happened just by chance. Okay.
Yes.
The only thing I could say, we've all gone through ups and downs in our life.
Yeah.
And I can say, the only analogy I can use, it's like I had a client who lived in a high-rise in the Central West End, where you're going through the toughest time in your life and the most difficult time in your life, and she lived on the 15th floor. It was like somebody holding you by your ankles over the side of the railing and holding it before they dropped you. They pulled you back off at the last, back over the last button, and you go, oh my God, how did they get past that? And I've been blessed where maybe it sounds too simplified, but I think when it comes to the Lord, I think you have to believe, strongly believe, and ask. And I believe if you do that, you'll be answered.
Okay.
But some people have a hard time very, very much letting go because they're control freaks. It's just if you believe and you truly believe and you just ask. I know that sounds too simplified.
So once you ask, right? So the asking
and believe.
Right. You ask and believe, which is still belong to an abstract realm.
Correct.
Right? But
Correct.
then you've been always asked to take action. Once you get the idea in the metaphysical, in the beyond the physical world, then you have to take some sort of action to change the current circumstances.
Correct.
So you reach out to people, you start working out, you apply changes in your diet.
Well, it's like we've kind of got away from the Greek church. There's a lot of people got away from the Catholic Church for various reasons. A lot of these non-denominational churches have become a very big deal, people looking for something. I got a little bit cynical for as involved as I was involved in the church. There's a political component to that, and I never went there for that. I saw some people that my wife, who grew up Catholic, converted for me. I didn't ask her to do that. She tried to get involved in doing various things. She's a very doer, doing things for the church, around the church. We'd go to parties, people nice to each other. And then some of them, when you'd see them on a Sunday, would act like they didn't really know you were acting in a way that was a little bit different. To the point where I noticed where I'm in line for communion and I see somebody who acted that way, I would have to go back and sit down because I'm in line to take communion and I'm not feeling very good about the people I just saw acting that way. And when I get a bit cynical when I see somebody who acts that way, who just because they go to a building, they drop to their knees on Sunday, either think, well, we're here, where's everybody else, or they think they're better than somebody, or they go there on Sunday and act very differently during the week. I have a big problem with that. And this could be a long answer, but my thing is now, in my opinion, this is just me, if you genuinely try to be a good person and do good things, genuinely, and not talk about it, I'm willing to let the chips fall where they may. When it comes to that time where I have to meet whoever, I want to know that I'm a genuine and not just talk about it.
Great.
And maybe that's too simplified.
No, it's not.
But be genuine about it. Don't just talk about it.
And it's all that matters. Awareness, integrity, humility.
All the words, all the right words.
So now let's finish up with some legacy and reflections about yourself and the future. So when you look back at your career, what are you most proud of?
What I built out of nothing. The clientele I was able to have that loved me, that stuck with me for many of them in excess of 20 years, humbled. Some of the things that some of the clients have done for me and my family out of left field, blessed. I mean, I don't know what else to say, There's some people that get up in the morning and get involved in careers, and whether they're making good money, but they can't stand going to what they go to. I enjoy every morning getting up. I mean, I took my hobby and I made it my livelihood. Right. The Lord blessed me by going, you're still doing this 38 later, John D.
Yeah, of course.
If anybody hears me complain, shame on me.
And you always work for yourself, right? You were not under supervision.
Right. You're blessed if you can do that, if you can be a real boss and work for yourself like this. And I get to dress like this, I don't have to put on a coat and tie.
Right.
So that's a nice part of it too.
Somebody else's brand.
Yeah, right. But we've really made some wonderful friends. People, like I said, have been
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. What have been the hardest lessons to learn? Or
sometimes be trusting in some people who don't have your best interest at heart, and sharing things and learning lessons sometimes the hard way. This is a very small town, and it can be very gossipy sometimes. Things, especially in the gym business, we used to hear that hairdressers and trainers most better than the National Park. We hear everything. And there's a lot of people that love this little gossipy nonsense, and they pass things around with no truth to them. They think they know more than they know, and they, as some sort of, they think they're knowledgeable about you or your life, and they don't know anything, only other than what they've heard or think they've heard. So your best is just to keep your mouth shut and just be very generalized with people, because people like, unfortunately, other people's stuff. And I call it the National Enquirer mentality. There's a lot of that nonsense that goes on. And I learned very quickly how small this town really is, and who knows who doesn't necessarily like who. So your best is just to keep your mouth shut.
It's a good
and
advice.
Not share. And just keep your mouth shut, keep everything very generalized. So I've learned a few lessons in the past.
Good. All right. Well, if you could go back and talk to your younger self, what advice would you give?
Start your own business earlier. Start your own
Uh-huh.
business earlier. And take a chance on yourself. Don't be afraid to make any mistakes. One thing I've learned, and again, because when I started my business, I've trained corporate heads, people, big businesses, and it developed the attitude, almost across the board, the attitude that I've seen of people who are successful. Is they'll see this point and they'll see this point.
Yes.
And they're going to get to this point, and it might not always be in a straight line, but they're going to get there. You asked me about my friend Mr. Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
There's nobody that's more focused like this. And if you look at the careers he's had, from this bodybuilding, there's still something called the Arnold Classic. In Mount Vernon, that's like the largest fitness weekends ever.
Yes.
Okay, they thought he would maybe make a couple of movies because of his accent. He changed the way actors are paid in Hollywood. That's a whole other story, because of his business acumen.
Yes.
Then he's a two-time governor of this largest state in California. Okay, 3 massive careers, and if they had changed the rules since he wasn't born here, then he could have been president. I don't doubt he would have been president.
Right.
Long story short, most of you I know who are like that. They see this point, and I'm going to get to this point.
Right.
I might not always be in a straight line, but they're going to get there. And they're all wired from Arnold to how many different businesses.
Gotcha.
They all have that focus. They all have that focus.
I know that there are no straight lines in nature. Everything that is linear is man-made. So, of course, we all experience our ups and downs. So, this is a big question. How would you like to be remembered, not just as a trainer, but as a person?
Genuinely a very good person, no BS. My word is my bond. Now, those are the big things to me, that when I shake your hand and look in your eye, I mean what I say.
Yeah, you're authentic.
Okay, there's authentic. There's a lot, like I said, there are some people who can do that and look at you in the eye as they're stabbing you in the back. Okay, just my word was my bond. That what I said was a big deal. Where none of us are perfect, we all make mistakes.
Yeah. I have a question that is off the script.
It's fine.
So, how do you personally handle your own fears? Right. Fear of judgment, fear of death, fear of illness, fear of fill the blank.
Well, you first of all you go out of your way to try to take care of yourself the best that you can anyhow. We have a lot of knowledge on some of the do's and don'ts that you're supposed to do in that area. I think sometimes in facing your fears, you have to do Where if you're fearless, like somebody wanted me to go skydiving one time. Do I have any intention of going skydiving? Sometimes people like to jump into that kind of thing. Okay.
Because life is risky, right?
Life can be risky. And taking a chance, like I said, be willing to take a chance on yourself. And most of the people who are successful will tell you they've all failed or had before they got to this point.
Yes.
Okay. You didn't see how things started, how long it took them to get to this point. And
but every time we wake up in the morning, we're given a new opportunity, right?
We're given an opportunity, but the big thing is to be careful how much of yourself you reveal to people. Some people take that as, like I said, this real gossipy nonsense. They think they know more than they know. They add things, they subtract things. And that's unfortunate. I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that nonsense go on.
Okay. Well, not to go too deep into those details, I'm going to just lighten around, a little lightning round. Fun and personal. What's your favorite Greek dish?
I like rack of lamb. I love a lamb shank. Now we're talking about the meat, or we're talking about dessert. So it's kind of spanakopita I like, baklava, but I love lamb shank. I like a really good lamb shank.
Of course. I mean, obviously speaking about protein and feeding yourself.
So we're talking about dessert, or are we talking about fruit?
Yeah. I like this. I like lamb too. What's your favorite body part to train?
Probably chest.
Chest. What is your least favorite exercise?
Least favorite exercise. I don't do deadlifts anymore, the regular deadlifts anymore. I don't think they're necessary. There's other ways of training your lower back. Some trainers like use it as a staple. You can do modified deadlifts off of a rack, and they're good part. But I haven't done deadlifts for a long time.
Okay. What is the most overhyped workout trend today that you don't agree with?
As far as exercise or dietary or
workout. You know, so exercise. What is that you see as days that?
This is a loaded question because there are different. Everybody will back up what there are businesses in town.
You see CrossFit.
That's a good place. CrossFit became a very big deal.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Nationally, a lot of people do it. They see people on ESPN visually. They look very muscular, both the guys and girls. The only issue I have with some of this thing, it's one thing to challenge yourself athletically. It's another thing just to beat the hell out of yourself. Okay. CrossFit can be virtually almost anything that you make up.
Right.
And I've talked to some sports physical therapists, and they say the problem is some of the injuries that I'm seeing at a young age, not 20 years from now, okay? So first of all, it depends what your goal is, what you're trying to accomplish. And if you come from a competitive background, what still trips that switch as you get older, athletically? I don't want to casually just go through a workout or casually shoot hoops. So when it comes to working out, you can change the way your body looks if it's important to you. But you have to do a lot of the right things.
Correct.
From a dietary side, from a rest side, from a training side. So it just depends what you're trying to accomplish, what's important to you. You know?
Right. Tell me, do you prefer early morning or late night workouts?
I've done them both.
Has it
Depends on my
changed
schedule. I prefer to train early now, but I've done both, and just what you become accustomed to. Which you just there's why it's better for you early. And I think those are loaded questions. It's just I think everybody's different. It depends what you like.
Tell me a classic rock or house music for lifting. Has
Oh my
music
God.
ever been a thing?
Always. It used to be a problem at some of the hardcore gyms. Every other song somebody would go over and try and change the music. I've seen it almost cause fights in the gyms before because they had to lock up the receiver in the office so they couldn't get to that anymore. The hardcore gyms have things. Well, now it's different because I'm talking in the day. That's how long ago I go. But now people wear their headphones and it's just different what you like. A lot in the old days there was a lot of more edgy hard rock type stuff. That the Black Sabbath from everything.
Did you use music to pump?
The music was sure the music was played throughout the gym.
Good.
Instead of the headphone, that's how I'm dating myself now. They had the receiver up there, change the channel.
Okay.
They had to put that thing and lock it up in the office because guys would fight over that damn thing.
Back in this day.
But now the technology is everybody just wears their headphones.
Right.
You like what you like. You have your own playlist that you like, and all that stuff.
Best post-workout meal. What do you have?
Well, that's a loaded question too. It just depends what you like. I mean, it depends how what your goal is, what you're trying to accomplish. You usually get people like the first hour or so, like get some sort of carbohydrates and protein within the first 45 minutes to an hour. And it's a loaded question. It just depends. Are you training for competition? Is it a generalized meal? It just depends. Right. Your body's uptake the hour or so after your meal, both carbohydrate wise and replacing glycogen in your muscles is an important thing. But it depends if you're training for competition or not.
That's correct.
Depending how many carbohydrates you're taking in, and so that's kind of a loaded question.
3 more questions before we call it a day. Let's see. What's your favorite place to travel or dream destination? Wow. Now, obviously, Greece. I mean, it could be overplaced, but I tell you, a friend of mine got married, and you're going to laugh at this one. This was years ago, and pictures he brought back. The Amalfi Coast. Oh, wow.
And I mean, there's other places in Europe. There's the Caribbean. I mean, there's other places, but the pictures and the people I've talked to have been there. Now, obviously, I want to do the Greek islands, so that's almost feel bad about saying that. You only get to Mykonos, Santorini, Crete, all these different islands. And obviously, because I'm Greek, because I'm like my blood's are. But I've heard so much about the Amalfi Coast.
Yes.
And the pictures that I've seen from and I knew it's just like I got to get there. A friend of mine, we got married, as a matter of fact. This is years ago. We said, I'll tell you how long it was. We said, bring your pictures. We brought 900 pictures. He brought them in a box like this. And he told me at the time, this was probably 30 years ago, he goes, I actually looked around for an apartment there to see if I could live here. He goes, I could spend some time here.
Yeah.
30 years ago he said that.
Well, I'd be happy to give you tips and tricks for an expert navigation.
I'm very curious. Very curious about Monaco too. I had a client that lived there half the year also. I'm very curious about Monaco also.
Okay.
That looked gorgeous. Of course, he was a wealthy guy that could afford to live over there like that too. But
if you head to Italy, obviously you don't want to just stay in the Amalfi Coast. If you have 5-10 days, you would want to at least stretch out to.
He also had a home and he had an apartment in Florence also.
Yes, definitely. Tuscany is one of my very favorite. I would bum around in Tuscany.
I don't think I've talked to anybody that's been in any part of Italy didn't like it, no matter where they went.
All right, last question. Oh, two more. One word your best friends would use to describe you. Loyal. Nice. Beautiful. That's a great one. But can you agree?
Yes.
To whoever listening. One thing
more so than others.
One thing you think everyone should do every day for their health.
Get good sleep.
That's right.
Real quick caveat to that. Guys I have coffee with in the morning. Well, the guys come through as one of the top researchers at what he used to work for the NIH, applies for the grants for mostly Alzheimer's research and there's some cancers. We asked him that one time, and one thing a person could do to help themselves the most, he said, yes, exercise consistently, strength train, 3 times in the same sentence, good, sound sleep. 3 times in the same sentence.
Right.
So, and some people have a very difficult time with that. And because more people than I know use the CPAP machine that I ever knew, both men that use this thing, that are restless sleepers, they have a hard time getting to sleep, have a hard time staying asleep. A good, sound, restful sleep changes completely how you feel.
And how you regenerate, your body really gets a rinse. As if
to hear a researcher say
your brain in the dishwasher.
To hear a researcher say that 3 times in the same sentence, among all the other things, strength training and this and that, 3 times he said that in the same sentence. He pushed that point.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Senor John.
You're more than welcome.
Dendrinelis.
Did I talk too much?
No, just right. Just right. I appreciate your availability today to get to know you a little deeper. And hopefully this is going to yield business for both of us.
We'll see.
So this is Andrea Spadafora at Yogafora LLC, massage therapy, professional massage therapy and yoga. You can also find me at Urban Breath Yoga Studio or Blue Sky Yoga Studio STL. And today is July 28th, 2025 at the time this recording has been made. It's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
If I can be a resource for
Appreciate
you in
it.
any shape or form, I'm here for you.
Thank you very much.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Very nice.